Amara was a young woman full of life. Every morning when she stepped outside, she wore a colorful dress that fluttered in the gentle wind. Her smile was warm and welcoming, and her laughter was as clear as a bell ringing in the quiet village. In her small town, Amara was known to everyone. She would stop to greet neighbors, help an old lady cross the street, or share kind words with a friend in need. The people who met her felt as if a burst of sunshine had entered their day. Amara was more than just beautiful. She was smart, kind, and hardworking. Her family loved her very much, and she was the pride of her home. Every person who knew her saw that she had a big heart. She loved to help others, whether it was by giving food to the poor or by offering comfort to someone who was sad. Her heart was as big as the sky, and her spirit was as free as the wind. As a child, Amara was curious about the world. She often sat under the old mango tree near her family's home, listening to the elders tell stories of the past. These stories spoke of brave heroes, wise queens, and kind souls who changed their world with love and wisdom. Amara dreamed of one day making a difference herself. She believed that every person, no matter how small, had the power to bring light into the lives of others. In school, Amara worked hard. She loved to learn new things, and her teachers often praised her for her determination. Even when lessons were hard, Amara would remind herself of the stories she had heard under the mango tree. "I can be brave and strong like the heroes of my stories," she would whisper to herself. Her dreams were as bright as the morning sun. As Amara grew older, many young men came to see her. In her town, it was common for men to admire a woman with a kind soul and gentle heart. They would often leave small gifts, letters, or tokens of their admiration at her doorstep. Each man hoped that he could win her heart. They all said the same kind words: "You are the light of our lives," or "Your beauty outshines the stars." But Amara was careful. She knew that a partner must be more than kind words and pretty gifts. Her wise grandmother once told her, "Before you choose a partner, look at his actions. A man who respects others will respect you too." Amara listened and thought about these words. She wanted a man who would not only speak kindly but would act with care and respect. One day, a new suitor appeared in town. His name was Chike. Unlike the other men, Chike was different. He was handsome, and he wore a neat suit that made him look very confident. Many people said he was wealthy and charming. He had a smooth way with words, and he promised a life filled with comfort and happiness. When Chike first met Amara, he complimented her colorful dress and said, "You light up the room like the morning Sunday." Amara felt flattered by his attention. Soon, he began to tell her stories of the grand life he could offer, a life filled with beautiful houses, exciting travels, and endless joy. "I give you the world, Amara," he said with a charming smile. Amara was touched by his words. His promises were like sweet music to her ears. Even though she had heard many compliments before, something about Chike made her feel special. His charm seemed to sweep her off her feet, and she began to believe that she had found the perfect man. At first, everything with Chike was wonderful. He sent her flowers every day and often surprised her with thoughtful gifts. They would take long walks together under the bright blue sky. On these walks, Chike told her of his dreams and his plans for the future. Together, he would say, "We will build a life full of happiness and success." Friends and family were happy to see Amara smile so brightly. Many people commented on how perfect their love seemed. Amara's best friend, Nkechi, who had always cared deeply for her, watched with concern. Nkechi had seen things in Chike's behavior that worried her. One afternoon, as they sat under the shade of a large baobab tree, Nkechi gently spoke to Amara. "Amara, my dear," Nkechi said softly, "I see a side of Chike that worries me. He sometimes speaks harshly when things do not go his way, and he tries to control those around him. Please, look deeper into his actions. Amara, however, brushed off Nkechi's words. She told herself that Nkechi was just jealous or that she did not understand the depth of his love. Every person has a few flaws, Amara reasoned. Love can fix what seems wrong. So she chose to ignore the warning signs and continued to be enchanted by Chaik's promises and charming smile. Time passed, and soon the day came when Amara and Chaik were to be married. The whole village buzzed with excitement. Preparations were made for a grand ceremony. Colorful decorations adorned every street, and the sound of drums and flutes filled the air. It was a day of celebration, and Amara's family had spared no expense. On the morning of the wedding, Amara stood before a mirror in her family home. She wore a traditional outfit, woven with bright threads and embroidered with beautiful patterns. Her hair was styled neatly, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of joy and nervousness. As she looked at herself, she remembered all the dreams she had held close, the dreams of a loving marriage, of respect, and of shared happiness. Walking to the wedding ground, Amara felt the eyes of the entire village upon her. There was music and dancing, and everyone cheered as she passed. Yet, in the midst of the celebration, Amara felt a strange heaviness in her heart. It was a quiet voice of doubt that whispered, "Is this really the right choice for you?" Deep down, Amara wondered if she had ignored the warning signs. But she quickly silenced her doubts. "Today is my day," she told herself. "I must be strong. My family and the village believe in me. I must honor this union." With a brief smile, she stepped forward to join Chaik. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. Chaik and Amara exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish one another. There were tears of joy, hearty laughter, and blessings from all around. In that moment, everything seemed perfect, and Amara hoped that love would always be enough to guide their future. But as the drums faded and the night grew quiet, small cracks began to show in Chaik's mask of charm. In the days that followed, Chaik started to change. His true nature began to reveal itself, and the man who once promised the world started to show signs of control and anger. At first, it was small things. Chaik began to decide what Amara should wear every day. "I'm only protecting you," he would say, "so you look your best and do not attract unwanted attention." Amara tried to smile and agree, thinking it was just a part of their new life together. But soon, his demands grew stronger. He told her where she could go, with whom she could speak, and even what hobbies were acceptable. One evening, as the moon rose high in the sky, Chaik scolded Amara for laughing too loudly with a neighbor. "Your laughter is too free," he said harshly. "I do not want the world to think that you do not respect me." His tone was cold and filled with anger. Amara felt a chill run down her spine. She remembered Nkechi's advice, "A man who disrespects others will one day disrespect you too." But in that moment, she felt too weak to challenge him. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The vibrant Amara, who once brought sunshine to every room, slowly faded into a shadow of her former self. She became quiet and withdrawn, no longer laughing with the same joy or greeting people with her usual warmth. Her family noticed the change immediately. They missed the lively young woman who had filled their home with hope and light. Inside her small new home with Chaik, Amara began to feel trapped. The walls of their house, once a symbol of new beginnings, now felt like a prison. Chaik's control was everywhere. Every morning, she woke up with a heavy heart, and every night she lay awake wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. One rainy afternoon, when the clouds hid the sun, Amara sat by a window looking out at the droplets running down the glass. In her heart, she felt a deep sadness and confusion. "What happened to me?" she thought. "Where is the Amara who used to laugh freely and dream without limits?" The turning point in Amara's life came one day when her mother came to visit. Her mother was a kind woman with wise eyes, and she had always known that Amara was special. Seeing her daughter like this broke her heart. She took Amara's hand in her own and looked deep into her eyes. "My daughter," her mother said gently, "you cannot heal what you did not break. Marriage is not a prison. If the foundation is cracked, you must not let it collapse on you." Her words were soft but full of strength and truth. "You are meant to shine, Amara. Do not let anyone steal your light." For the first time in many months, Amara listened closely. Her mother's words stirred something deep inside her, a small spark of courage that she thought was lost forever. That night, as she lay in bed, Amara replayed her mother's words over and over. She began to see that she had been living in a place that did not allow her to be herself. It was a hard decision, but slowly, Amara began to understand that true love was not about sacrifice or control. True love meant freedom, trust, and respect. With every painful memory and every hurtful word, she grew more determined to reclaim her life. One clear morning, as the first light of dawn touched the sky, Amara decided that she must leave. Leaving was not easy. She packed a small bag with her few treasured belongings and wrote a quiet note explaining that she needed to find herself again. When Chike discovered her absence, he was angry and confused. He shouted and threatened, "You belong to me. I am only protecting you." But Amara had already found her inner strength. She remembered the warmth of her family's love and the gentle advice of friends like Nkechi. More than anything, she remembered the woman she had once been, a free and joyful soul. Despite the gossip and harsh judgments from some in the village, Amara walked away with her head held high. In the market, as she passed by familiar faces, she saw whispers and heard murmurs, but she smiled at those who greeted her kindly. Every step was a step toward freedom. Amara's journey after leaving Chike was not easy. She faced many challenges along the way. There were days when she missed the comfort of a familiar routine and nights when loneliness crept in. However, with each challenge, she grew a little stronger. She found shelter in the support of friends who had always admired her, and she slowly started to rebuild her life. In her new home, Amara began to paint and write. She filled blank pages with her thoughts, dreams, and stories of hope. Every stroke of her brush and every word on paper was a celebration of her newfound freedom. Her art reflected the journey of a woman who had faced darkness but chose to step into the light. One afternoon, while painting under a large acacia tree, Amara met an old friend from her childhood. This friend, now a kind older woman named Ebo, embraced her warmly. "Amara," Ebo said, "I always knew you were strong. Remember, true love begins with loving yourself. You must care for yourself first, and then you can share your light with others." These words comforted Amara. With time, she became more confident. She started a small craft shop in the village where she sold the paintings and handmade items she created. Her shop became a place of gathering, a small haven where people could share stories and laughter. Slowly, the villagers began to see her again, the bright, joyful Amara who had once been the pride of her community. Amara's journey was one of pain, courage, and transformation. She learned many lessons along the way. One of the most important lessons was that love should never feel like a chain. Love is about respect, freedom, and care. No one should have the power to dim another person's light. With her newfound wisdom, Amara began to speak with others. She would sit with young women and share her story. Before you say yes to a man, she would say, watch his actions more than his words. Listen to the advice of those who care for you. It is better to wait for the right love than to rush into the wrong one. Her words were gentle and honest, and many found comfort in her truth. In the evenings, when the sky turned pink and the birds sang their last songs of the day, Amara would sit by her window and reflect. She thought of the past, of the girl who laughed freely under the mango tree and the woman who had found the strength to live a life of control. She knew that her story was not just her own, it was a story for anyone who had ever felt trapped or lost. The village slowly began to change as well. People started to understand that love and respect were the foundations of a happy life. Neighbors began to support one another more, and young men learned that a kind heart was far more important than charm alone. Years passed, and Amara continued to live a life filled with hope and purpose. Her craft shop flourished, and her story became a legend in the village, a story of a woman who chose freedom over control and self-love over false promises. One sunny morning, as Amara walked through the market in her vibrant dress, she saw a group of young women whispering about her. They looked at her with admiration and respect. One of them stepped forward and said, "Miss Amara, we have heard your story. We want to learn how you found your strength. Can you teach us?" Amara smiled gently and said, "I did not find strength overnight. It came from learning to love myself and from listening to the wisdom of those who care about me. Always remember, true love is not about what you are given, it is about how you are respected and valued. You must never let anyone dim your light." As the young women gathered around her, Amara felt a deep sense of peace. She had once been lost in a life of false promises and control, but now she was a beacon of hope for others. The pain of the past had given way to the strength of a new beginning. And so, the story of Amara lives on, a reminder that every person has the right to choose a life filled with respect, joy, and true love. Her laughter, once silenced by pain, now rang out like a bell, echoing through the village and inspiring all who heard it. Amara's life teaches us that our true worth is found in our own hearts. We must look beyond sweet words and grand promises to see the truth of a person's actions. In every decision, especially those of the heart, we must value respect, freedom, and self-love. Before you say yes to a man, or before you give away your light, remember Amara's story. Listen to the advice of those who love you. Look for a partner who uplifts you, not one who dims your shine. True love is built on trust and respect, and it always starts with loving yourself first. May you find the strength to choose what is right for you, and may your heart always remain as free and vibrant as Amara's once was. This is the story of Amara, a story of beauty, heartbreak, courage, and renewal. Let her journey remind you that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance to rebuild, to love yourself, and to let your true light shine.